how refreshing was this race for Talladega, especially the no cautions in the third to final stage and the hard racing we saw?
I definitely feel like the caution free finish to the race is certainly a bright spot in this event, but I think it's important to remember that we dissect how the finish was so clean and refreshing. And unfortunately, it's because of the next gen car gridlocking every car in the top 20 into two rows and not allowing anybody to pass or create a third lane. So while it was definitely refreshing to see the drivers, act like they have their heads screwed on for most of the race, there was definitely a almost an impending doom factor, and it wasn't for the big one this time. It was for, okay, well, who's going to cycle out front at the end of this pit cycle, because those two cars are going to be the ones that pretty much control the end of this race. And credit to Ryan Preece, he tried to make something happen, but unfortunately, he fell just short to Austin Cindric, who, after so many Talladega, Daytona disappointments, Cindric finally comes around and actually gets to finish one of these races and on all four wheels and finishing first. So um, definitely a bright spot for the sport that we had a clean finish and not, a caution pretty much coming to the checkered flag like we did last spring. So I was definitely happy with how this race played out. As I kind of expressed yesterday, I didn't really love all the controversy that stemmed from, throwing the caution when we did on the final lap. And just in general, I don't think anybody really wants to see a bunch of wadded up equipment. So today was definitely a step in the right direction in that regard, but it would be great to see drivers be able to kind of determine their own destiny a little bit more rather than this becoming like F1, which is a pit stop race, which is practically what it became towards the end of the event.
Definitely the improvements of, we had the racing where we didn't have the crazy cautions at the end. We didn't have drivers making, for the most part, reckless moves that could have caused a big crash. I know there's one driver we'll talk about later on. Overall, I really enjoyed, particularly when we saw the Toyotas get single file started pulling away. Then I started wondering what's going to happen with this round of pit stop. Can they get far enough? I gotta say, big shout out to Carson Hocevar's crew. How quickly they got from the back of the pack to ahead of the Toyota pack, stay up there. Man,
I
kudos
said
to
he was
that
one to
team.
watch.
One to
Remember?
watch.
Yeah, I
And
said he was one to watch last night. So glad that kind of paid off.
coming in clutch. And that pit crew even had a member hit earlier in the race by Josh Berry. So kudos to that team for making that work. Overall, I was impressed, happy with the racing product we have. Still room for improvement, of course, because it was interesting trying to see Joey Logano try to make that second groove work, but it just couldn't make it. I know we don't have what we used to have as well, where that freight train effect, they just go ride the wall essentially, and nobody can make that inside lane work unless you had a super fast car. So I feel like steps in the right direction. I think the racing product's good, especially considering the last three race weekends where we were wondering, like, okay, what's going on with this car, the short tracks, Darlington. This one, I feel like, okay, people are overall pretty happy with the way the race went. You don't have a bunch of cars wadded up, as you said. I think that's a big relief, especially for all the owners and their checkbook. I feel pretty good, but now we're going to Texas Motor Speedway next race weekend. That's going to be something else we're going to have to talk about